Welcome to Mr. UFC Vegas Fight Club TV. I am Kyle, your host. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the bet review show for UFC and Fox 31, Iaquinta versus Kevin Lee. We're going to get into our best bet play that we had for purchase on Wagertalk. We're also going to talk about our free play, and as well as touch on the main event, a very intriguing main event. We had a lot of great conversation in the comment section of the prediction video. Very interesting stuff. All of us kind of talking about who we think was going to win, who we betting on, and I always encourage everybody who's watching, get involved in the comment section. Let me know what you guys are betting. Like the video if you do like the content, and always looking to have great conversations with other UFC handicappers, people that are looking to place bets. That's what this channel is all about. But the first thing we will do is we will get into the best bet. The best bet was on Rob Font to defeat Sergio Pettis. Rob Font got us that victory for our best bet play. Our best bet play, 70% for the year. All best bets on fighters, minus 190 and below. I am on a tear this year. It's really great to have one event left and going to be right at that 70% mark. At the beginning of this year, we were really hoping that was going to be something I could do. I was, talking to you guys saying, I hope I can get to that 70% with all fighters under minus 190 for the year, giving one play. And looks like we are right on our way to doing that with one event left. But we did hit Rob Font against Sergio Pettis. And now, and actually, before we really get into the fight, those of you that did make the purchase, I, again, appreciate the support. Those of you that didn't, I will post the actual write-up that I had for Wagertalk, and you can take a look at the information I'm giving, and just so you get an idea of what to expect when you're making the purchase. So, looking at Rob Font and Sergio Pettis. Now, this fight is very interesting for many different reasons. But the one thing I think that stuck out to me most when I first was looking and just handicapping this fight, and the big thing to me was Sergio Pettis moving up in weight. I think that was something that a little bit under the radar, although it's known and everybody knew that he was moving up, but it's a little bit under the radar as in a discussion piece. And if you take a look at the reasons why, now most of the time for me, I'm not a guy that's, I'm down on somebody because they're moving up in weight. Maybe sometimes it's a better fit for them. Maybe this is just, they're getting older and their frame can't really, lose that weight anymore. Sometimes that's something that a storyline or a way that you look at it. But in this situation, you've got Sergio Pettis in the flyweight division moving up, and they are dissolving of the, I'm sorry, I said featherweight, the flyweight division. They are dissolving the flyweight division. So you've got a guy that's in that division and is forced to move up. He's not moving up because he feels like it's a good fit, or he feels that he's big for his division, or he feels that, he's got the power to really go out there and win fights a weight class up. And this was a situation where I think, Pettis is a brand name. He had to move up in weight to still fight in the UFC organization unless he wanted to go somewhere else. So that was a storyline I thought was very interesting, knowing that his hand is really forced to go in there and step up and fight. Now, it's taking on Rob Font. Rob Font is a very strong boxer, great striking, very well rounded, but really solid on his feet. This is really where he's going to stand and have those 1-2 combinations. Very impressive what he's done, knocking out Thomas Almeida. Had a tough fight against Sunsao and lost, but he's had some good, a good stretch of some good fights and looked competitive. Now, when you take a look at breaking this down fight-wise, now, the big thing for me was going to be the exchanges. You're not going to see Rob Font really going in there looking to take down Pettis. I mean, that has been Pettis' Achilles heel, has been on the ground. People say, hey, you get him to the ground. He doesn't have the strength or really the know-how to scramble and get back up against really, of course, more superior wrestlers like Cejudo. You've got guys like that obviously are the elite when it comes to that. But when you take a look at Rob Font, that's not what he does. But, and I talked about it on my write-up, is he's been able to, in certain situations, in certain past fights, it's not his go-to to bring the fight to the ground, but he will incorporate it if he feels that that's something that he can expose on his opponent. And he's done it in the past, and this was something here where if he starts getting Pettis to start thinking about the takedown, start really worrying about, man, if I get on the ground, I'm in trouble, that's when a guy like Rob Font can really work his boxing. He has tremendous boxing, I think very underrated, and you saw throughout that fight. I mean, you saw from the beginning to the end, he worked that jab right down the middle, the 1-2 combinations right down the middle. Very basic stuff, as in for something that I would figure that maybe Pettis could stop, but the hand speed of Rob Font was just way too much. He was able to really continually push a little bit more forward on Pettis, which Pettis does want those kicks. He wants to be able to get outside a little bit, work some of those flashy kicks. That's what his brother always loves to do. That's kind of their pedigree when it comes to the way they like to strike. And you've got a guy like Rob Font, if you're going to not be able to go to the ground, I'm sorry, if Pettis cannot bring this fight to the ground, which Pettis wouldn't, but if he's not going to bring his fight to the ground, Font really may not look to fully bring it to the ground, but more use those attempts as leverage to then work some combinations. That's when you could see Rob Font really executing. And that was when Pettis started worrying about it, he was taken down. When Pettis really started worrying about those takedowns, he started getting deeper into the fight, got tired. That's when Font kept pushing forward. He kept landing big shots. And it was great to see him really execute the game plan that he wanted to in there. I mean, that he wanted to get the finish. You could tell Font really wanted to push forward and get that finish, which would have been nice. But he goes in there from beginning to end at, you got a price tag of anywhere from -150 to -160 on Font. I thought that's great value for him. For, again, a guy in Pettis that he's young within the sport. I think he can do a lot of great things. But this was just, I think, too big of a step for him up in weight class. I think the pressure of him fighting at home was a negative towards Pettis. I think a guy that already had pressure in this fight, he went 1-2 in his last 3. He moves up in weight class. Maybe he was kind of pushed forward into doing. Now he's fighting at home. I think there was a lot of pressure for him to really go out there and perform well, where Font had said even in interviews, he said, I don't really have much pressure going into this fight where, people like Pettis because of, the flashiness and that brand recognition of the last name Pettis. So he went in there and he really executed his game plan. We were able to go there, get the victory on our best bet play. Now our best bet play is 29-13 for the year, plus 27.15 units for the year. So we are really killing it. I mean, I'm having a great year. This has been a solid year with all of my best bets on fighters -190 and below. And now over the last 11 plays, last 11 plays, I'm 8-3, and 4 of those winners are on underdogs. So, I mean, it's really just finding those right spots, finding those opportunities. It was great to see this victory come clean. It was kind of a landslide victory as coming into the decision side of things. Great to see Rob Font get that victory. So that was our best bet play was on Rob Font. Now, the next one I want to talk about is the free play. The free play was on Edson Barboza to defeat Dan Hooker. Edson Barboza did get that victory for us. And now Edson Barboza here was a plus 100. You got Dan Hooker, who was a -110 roughly. And, this fight here, a lot of people really were pushing on Hooker here. They really liked, what he was doing out there, how he was able to go out there and knock out a couple guys, pretty flashy. But to me, the big thing, and we talked about it in our prediction show, to me, the big thing here is that Hooker just hasn't seen the caliber of striking that Barboza has. I mean, there's nobody that you could really point to over the last 7-8 fights that really was a guy that said, wow, this is upper echelon striking. He really was able to, work his angles and set up some combinations with the guy that is going to be quick on the counter, going to be throwing a lot of volume at you. And Barboza is a volume kind of guy. He's maybe not over volume, but he'll go out there and he's not scared to throw shots and work. And he's quick, and he's got very, very underrated hand speed. Everyone knows about his kicks, but his hand speed was something that I thought was going to be very tough for Dan Hooker to really work. And you take a look at the level change of those kicks. Talked about it in the prediction show as well, that, it's going to be very hard for Hooker to stop the leg kick, stop the body kick, stop the head kick, and then also when Barboza's going in there and working combinations. So very tough for Hooker, who is, I think, definitely coming into his own, coming in 4-0 into this division, really starting to look well. I just think it was too much for him, and this wasn't going to be something that, again, the path to victory for Barboza really was the takedowns. But it was superior wrestlers. I mean, you've got, Kevin Lee, although we'll talk about Kevin Lee in a minute, but you have Kevin Lee, wrestler, was able to get Barboza to the ground and pound him. Then you had Khabib, same thing, brought Barboza to the ground and pounded him. So that's not the path to victory that Hooker would have. That's not what he was going to do. Incorporating it into a game plan, yes, but being something that he's really going to be able to expose Barboza. Barboza's a top 5 fighter in his division. He has been ranked for a very long time. He has been fighting some of the best fighters in the world. So for him to go in there and just purely push out nice volume, work his combinations, work the leg kicks, I mean, he really looked great. He looked like the old Barboza. And although the old Barboza has never gone anywhere, it's just people really forget that Khabib is, arguably, pound for pound, one of the best. And then you've got, Kevin Lee, who, again, will downgrade him a little bit now on that loss. But Kevin Lee, he's a good wrestler, and that is just where Barboza is not good. So you saw throughout this fight, Hooker was tough. I mean, he took a beating. He kept pushing forward. He really had the will to want to push forward and try to keep moving, but it was literally, there was a point, it was like a punching bag, and Barboza was just landing at will and finished Hooker. So it was nice to see the free play hit. It was nice to see the best bet play hit. Very happy. Made some money there. Parlayed them. Bet them straight. It was a great night betting. It was awesome to watch both of these really come in clean. And the last thing that we will talk about is the main event between Kevin Lee and Iaquinta. Now, as I was saying before, a lot of us, we were talking in the prediction video comment section, which again, I really hope that a lot of you guys continually be active in there, talk about the bets you have, things, that you're interested in when it comes to, are you betting rounds? Are you betting a certain fight? Are you parlaying? Get me into that kind of thing. I always love having those conversations with you guys. But, we were talking to a lot of you guys, and downhill, me and him were going back and forth. Now, I didn't have much exposure on this Kevin Lee, but I like Kevin Lee. And Kevin Lee, I thought, would come out here, use his reach, use that 7-inch reach, really work the angles, get some wrestling, and just basically, I thought he'd be able to really pick apart Iaquinta and work together with the striking that I think that he was really moving, that he was really elevating. I really thought that Kevin Lee was kind of getting to that brink of his striking. And now you got downhill really going in there and saying, you know what, I think that he could knock out Kevin Lee, or he could really go out there and he really loved him to win this fight. I think that is a fantastic call. And again, those are the people that are in the comment section having these great conversations, because that was a great call. I mean, that was one where you take a look at these two guys, where they're really headed. I mean, you got Iaquinta, a guy who they make the joke about, the real estate agent kind of thing, but he's definitely a talented fighter, but he had taken time off. He had issues with the UFC. Then he had this Khabib fight, which, for me, I was kind of saying, you know what, I don't think Al looked that great against Khabib. But then you take a look at this here. I mean, Al had 2 first rounds where I would probably give the first 2 rounds to Kevin Lee, I guess. But I really had it going 2-2 going into the 5th round in this fight. I really thought it was very close, but you could really see that the tables were turning. After the first and 2nd round, it was really turning more towards Iaquinta. I mean, there's no doubt Al won that 5th round. So I know Kevin Lee is very upset about, thinks he, deserved the decision. I think at the very least it was 2-2 and Al won the 5th. So I don't really see any way that Kevin Lee really won that fight, but it was a great call by some of the community members. Talked all about it in there. I think we all celebrated in there because we all made money, it sounds like, all of us down there talking on things that we bet, things that we liked. So, just wanted to touch on that because it was a great call, and it was great to see the best bet hit on Rob Font, and then to see our free play hit on Edson Barboza. So 2 nice plays there, cashing in. Feels good. We've got one more event this year, UFC 232, and that'll be not this weekend, the following, which is December 29th. And really excited about that card. I've talked to a couple of you guys in the prediction video for this last one, and just talking about some things that we like there. There are some fights I really like. And this is probably, since it's the last one of the year, I'm probably going to do a longer, more in-depth prediction video, maybe get into more fights, talk about more of them, and really break down some other things, because I think there's a lot of opportunity here to make some money. I think there's some really nice lines. I think that, if you really take a look at some of these fights, I think I already have some leans. I haven't dove into the card fully, but there are some really great value plays in there that I think that can really make us some money. And again, if you're hedging it, if you're going to be parlaying it, if you're going to be doing rounds, let me know what you guys are doing. Drop a comment down below. Like the video if you like the content. And we'll see you on the next video. And this is Mr. UFC Vegas, Fight Club TV.